Chapter 5. A Disappointing Day. "So," said Kamal, "you really think you saw her, do you?" Kamal and Tom were sitting in the American bar at the Park Hotel. Tom thought carefully for a moment before answering. "Yes," he said slowly. "Yes, I do. You probably think I imagined it. I understand that. But I'm convinced I saw her. That's all." Kamal nodded. "I can't stop thinking about yesterday," Tom continued. "I close my eyes and I can see Angela there on the pavement. I can't forget that." "Listen, Tom," said Kamal. "We only met yesterday, but already we're friends. You're in my country. You're my friend. And you need help. If you think you saw Angela, that's enough for me. I believe you. Now we have to decide what to do." "There are two things I want to do as soon as possible," said Tom. "I want to go to the street where I saw Angela. Then I want to go to the British consulate. I have an appointment for this afternoon." "Okay," said Kamal. "The street where you saw Angela. Do you think you can remember where it is?" "No problem," said Tom. "We can drive along the same route as the airport bus. I'm sure I'll remember it." "And what do you think you will find there?" "I'm not sure. But she was going into a building with two men. At least we can find the building. Maybe that will tell us something." "Okay," said Kamal. "My car's outside. Let's go." Tom and Kamal were driving through the city. "It was a wide street," said Tom. "We came to a roundabout after the traffic lights. We turned left, and then we passed an old aqueduct." "Aksaray," said Kamal. "It's near here." Kamal drove over Ataturk Bridge. After a few minutes, they saw the old aqueduct. Then they came to a large roundabout and turned right. "This is it," said Tom. "It's somewhere near here." They were approaching some traffic lights. Tom looked out of the window at the buildings on the left. "No," he said. "Not here." They drove on to the next traffic lights. "This is it," said Tom. "This is the place." Kamal stopped the car. "You get out. I'll find a parking place." Tom got out and looked around him. He was in a wide street of shops and offices. A newspaper kiosk. A travel agency. He remembered them from the day before. He stood looking at the buildings opposite until Kamal arrived. Tom pointed across the street to the entrance to an office building. "That's it, I think," he said. They crossed the street and looked at the nameplate beside the entrance to the office block. There were many names there. A lawyer, a dentist, a doctor, and many other offices. Tom stood looking at the names for a few moments. "Well," he said finally, "I'm sure she went into this building. But which office was she going to? Was she going to see a lawyer? Or a dentist? Or a doctor? How do we begin to find out?" Kamal took his arm gently, and they walked slowly back to the car. "Listen, Tom," he said. "You're going too fast. You can't expect to find out everything immediately. Wait until you see the man at the consulate. After that, we'll think about it. Then we can decide what to do. We know she was going into that building. That's something anyway. Now look, it's lunchtime. You must be hungry. I know a good restaurant near here." "You're right," said Tom. We have to be patient. Chapter 6. Visit to the Consulate. After lunch, Kamal drove Tom to the British Consulate in Mesrutiet Street. He stopped the car at the gate. "Well, good luck," he said. "I'll wait for you." Tom opened the car door. "It's very good of you to help me like this, Kamal. Thanks very much." "Not at all," said Kamal. "See you later." Tom went through the consulate gates. The old consulate with beautiful gardens round it looked like a palace. Tom pushed the big door open and went in. "I'd like to see Mr. David Pennington, please," he said at the reception desk. "My name's Tom Smith. I have an appointment." After a few minutes, a tall man wearing glasses came to meet him. "Mr. Smith, my name's Pennington. How do you do?" said the man, holding out his hand. Tom shook Mr. Pennington's hand. "How do you do?" he replied. "Come into my office, please, Mr. Smith. Mr. Dernier told me you were coming." They walked up the beautiful staircase of the consulate and went into Mr. Pennington's office. "Sit down, please," said Pennington. "Mr. Smith, I'm very sorry about your fiancée. It was a great tragedy. Please accept my condolences." "Thank you," said Tom. Mr. Pennington took 2 files from his desk. "This is our report on the accident," he said, "and this is the police report. I can give you copies of these, but perhaps you'd like to ask me some questions first." Tom thought for a moment. "Mr. Pennington," he said, "I think I saw Angela yesterday." Pennington stared at Tom. There was silence in the room. Pennington looked down at his desk. Then he looked at Tom again. Tom was able to hear the noise of the traffic in the street outside the gardens. For a long time, Pennington said nothing. At last, he spoke. "Mr. Smith," he said, "I don't think you fully understand. Your fiancée—" "I know," Tom interrupted. "Angela was killed in a road accident last weekend. Her funeral was last Wednesday. Mr. Dernier told me that this morning. But I'm telling you, I saw her yesterday." "Mr. Smith, I think you should read these reports carefully before you say anything more." He passed the files over to Tom. "Can I get you a cup of tea or something?" "A cup of tea would be nice. Thank you." Pennington left the office. He came back a few minutes later with some tea. There was silence in the room while Tom read the reports. Presently, he looked up. "After the accident," Tom asked Pennington, "how did they identify the body?" "That was difficult," said Pennington. "As you know, the accident happened on a dangerous road about 200 kilometers from here. Your fiancé's car crashed through a wall by the side of the road and fell down the hillside. The car burst into flames and was completely burned out. The body was very badly burned, so identification was difficult. But the police found your fiancé's handbag lying near the car. Her passport and papers were in the handbag. The police found out that the car was owned by a car hire company. Miss Thompson had hired the car for the weekend." "What about Angela's parents?" Tom asked. I'm afraid her parents don't know about the accident yet. They're on a camping holiday in France. The police are trying to contact them. What was she doing on that dangerous road? She spent the weekend in Bursa, sightseeing. It's a very interesting old town. She was on her way back to Istanbul. Tom thought for a moment. And are the police quite satisfied? Tom asked. Yes, said Pennington. The police are convinced that it was an accident. The file is closed. And you people at the consulate? Said Tom quietly. Are you satisfied? For a moment, Pennington said nothing. Yes, Mr. Smith. We are, he said. Our job, among other things, is to look after British citizens in Turkey. We have looked into this matter very carefully, and we are satisfied that it was an accident. Tom said nothing. I really am very sorry, Pennington went on. I understand how you must feel. You've had a terrible shock. My advice to you now is to leave Istanbul. There is nothing you can do here. I'm beginning to think you're right, said Tom. Perhaps I should go home. You know, I really thought I saw Angela, but now, where are you staying? Asked Pennington. The Ankara Hotel, near Taksim Square. Will you be all right? Do you know anyone here? I'm all right, thank you. I have a friend here. Well, Mr. Smith, please think carefully about what I've said. I hope you'll take my advice. If you need anything before you leave, contact me. I'll be glad to help you. Thank you, said Tom, standing up. Thank you for all you've done. Not at all, said Pennington. I'm sorry your visit to Istanbul wasn't a happier one. Have a good journey home. Goodbye. The two men shook hands, and Tom left the consulate.